Gladys examined herself in the bathroom mirror, her trembling fingers adjusting the red lace lingerie that clung to her fuller figure. The fabric stretched across her stomach, across the landscape of stretch marks that mapped her journey into motherhood. Her cesarean scar peaked above the waistband, a badge of honor she'd learned to accept, though acceptance didn't erase the insecurity. 6 months. It had been 6 months since Min-jun had allowed her into their bedroom. 6 months since he'd looked at her with anything resembling desire. 6 months of sleeping in the nursery with her twins, Ivy and Jasper, while he occupied the master suite alone. "You can do this," she whispered to her reflection, smoothing down her braided hair. "You're his wife. You have every right." The wheelchair waited outside the bathroom door, her constant companion since the emergency C-section that had saved her babies but left her mobility compromised. The doctors promised it was temporary, that with physical therapy she'd walk again. But Min-jun hadn't waited. He'd recoiled from her the moment she came home from the hospital, a different woman than the one who'd left. Gladys maneuvered herself into the chair, the mechanics familiar now, though no less humiliating. She'd been a successful lawyer once, commanding courtrooms in Seoul, her sharp mind and sharper tongue making her formidable. Now she couldn't even walk to her own bedroom without assistance. The hallway stretched before her, the marble floors of their Gangnam penthouse gleaming under recessed lighting. Everything in this house screamed wealth, Min-jun's wealth. The contemporary art on the walls, the imported Italian furniture, the floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking Seoul's glittering skyline. She'd given up her career for this life, for him, believing his promises of partnership and devotion. The bedroom door loomed ahead. Gladys took a breath, rolled forward, and pushed it open. Min-jun sat on the edge of their king-sized bed, scrolling through his phone. He didn't look up immediately, and when he did, his expression transformed from indifference to disgust. "What are you doing here?" His Korean was clipped, cold. "I'm your wife," Gladys said, rolling closer. She practiced this moment, imagined how she'd seduce him back into loving her. "I thought maybe we could." "Stop." He stood, backing away as if she carried disease. "Just stop, Gladys." "Min-jun, please. It's been 6 months. Don't you miss?" "Miss what?" "This." He gestured at her body, his lip curling. "You look really ugly. You are no more appealing in my eyes sexually. Get out of my room." The words struck like physical blows. Gladys felt her breath catch, tears already burning her eyes. "I just had your children," she managed, her voice breaking. "Your son and daughter. My body changed because you let yourself go." Min-jun moved to the door, holding it open. "You're too fat. You're stinky. Those twins cry all night. I need my rest. I have a business to run." "Our twins," Gladys corrected, hating how small her voice sounded. "They're ours. Just leave. Sleep in the nursery where you belong." He didn't even look at her as he spoke. Didn't see the tears streaming down her face. Didn't witness her dignity crumbling like sand. Gladys reversed her wheelchair, each rotation of the wheels taking her further from the man she'd loved, the life she'd imagined. In the nursery, Ivy and Jasper slept in their matching cribs, their tiny chests rising and falling in perfect synchronization. 5 months old, born premature but fighting, just like their mother had fought through 36 hours of failed labor before the emergency surgery. Gladys transferred herself to the small bed in the corner, her body aching from exertion and heartbreak. She pulled out her phone, scrolling through old photos. There she was on her wedding day, radiant in a custom hanbok, Min-jun gazing at her like she hung the moon. There they were in Jeju Island, laughing on the beach. There was the gender reveal party, Min-jun's hands on her pregnant belly, his smile genuine. When had it changed? When had his love curdled into revulsion? She knew the answer. The moment her water broke 3 months early. The moment complications arose. The moment she emerged from surgery swollen, scarred, unable to walk. The moment she became less than perfect in his eyes. Gladys cried herself to sleep that night, her tears soaking the pillow as her children slumbered peacefully, unaware that their family was already fractured beyond repair. 3 days passed in a blur of feedings, diaper changes, and isolation. Min-jun came home late each night, avoiding the nursery entirely. The nanny he'd hired handled daytime duties while Gladys focused on physical therapy exercises the doctor had prescribed. Small movements, gentle stretches, building back strength one painful increment at a time. On the third night, Gladys woke to unfamiliar sounds. At first, she thought she'd imagined it, the faint moaning, the rhythmic creaking. But as she sat up in bed, the sounds grew clearer, unmistakable. Coming from the master bedroom. Coming from her bedroom. Her heart hammered against her ribs. No, he wouldn't. Not in their home. Not while she and the baby slept just down the hall. Gladys pulled herself into the wheelchair, her hands shaking so badly she could barely grip the wheels. She propelled herself forward, down the hallway, the sounds growing louder with each rotation. Female laughter mixed with deeper groans. The wet sounds of kissing, of bodies moving together. She didn't knock, didn't announce herself. She burst through the door, her wheelchair slamming against the wall. The scene before her would burn into her memory forever. Min-jun naked, entangled with a woman who looked like she'd stepped off a magazine cover. Pale Korean skin, surgically perfect breasts, legs that seemed to go on forever. Everything Gladys wasn't. Everything she could never be again. "Get out!" Min-jun roared, scrambling off the bed. The woman, a model, Gladys would later learn, named Seo-yun, didn't even have the decency to look ashamed. She smirked, pulling the sheet around herself with lazy confidence. "You're sick," Gladys whispered, unable to look away. "Our babies are down the hall and you're—" Min-jun grabbed the lamp from the nightstand and hurled it. Gladys ducked, the heavy ceramic shattering against the wall behind her. "This is my house," he screamed, advancing on her. "You're nothing but a cleaner here. A fat, useless cleaner who can't even walk. Get out! Get out of my sight!" He grabbed the wheelchair, pushing her backward with such force that Gladys nearly toppled. She caught the doorframe, her physical therapy strength barely enough to keep her balanced. "Min-jun, please." But he was already slamming the door in her face, the lock clicking with finality. "Hey beautiful people! Welcome to K-Whisper TV, your #1 source for heartwarming Afro-Korean stories. We are on a mission to 3K subscriber, so if you're new here, please don't forget to hit that subscribe button and turn on the notification bell so you never miss any of our amazing stories. And smash that like button right now so you don't forget to do it later. To our incredible loyal subscribers, you guys are the best. Thank you so much for being part of the K-Whisper TV family. Drop a comment below and let us know where you're watching from. Things are about to get very interesting. Now back to the story. Gladys sat in the hallway, her whole body trembling. From inside the bedroom, she heard them laughing. Heard the bed start creaking again. Heard her husband resuming his betrayal as if she were nothing. Nobody invisible. She made it back to the nursery before the sobs came. Deep, wrenching cries that tore from her chest like something being ripped out by the roots. She tried to muffle the sounds, not wanting to wake Ivy and Jasper, but the grief was too big to contain. Her wheelchair tipped as she reached for tissues, and suddenly Gladys was on the floor, her legs useless beneath her, her body sprawled across the cold hardwood. She couldn't even get up, couldn't even stand on her own 2 feet to face this nightmare. This was rock bottom, lying on the floor of a nursery in a mansion that wasn't hers, abandoned by a husband who'd promised forever, unable to walk, unable to work, unable to even hold on to her dignity. The cleaner, Mrs. Park, found her there an hour later when she arrived for the night shift. The older woman's eyes filled with tears as she helped Gladys up, asking no questions but understanding everything. "Hospital," Mrs. Park said firmly, already calling for a car. "You need doctor." Gladys didn't argue. What was the point? She had nothing left to fight with. At the emergency room, they checked her vital signs, noted her elevated blood pressure, her dehydration from crying. A kind doctor spoke to her in gentle English, recognizing the signs of someone in crisis. "You're physically okay," he said. "But I'm worried about you. Do you have someone you can stay with? Family? Friends?" Gladys thought of her parents back in Nigeria, how disappointed they'd been when she'd given up her promising legal career to marry Min-jun. Thought of her friends in Seoul, most of whom had drifted away after her marriage to one of Korea's most eligible bachelors. But there was one person, one friend who'd never stopped calling, even when Gladys had been too consumed by her new life to call back. Amanda, Gladys whispered. I need to call Amanda. Amanda Okonkwo answered on the second ring, her voice thick with sleep. Gladys, it's 3 a.m. What's wrong? The dam broke. Gladys sobbed into the phone, words tumbling out in a torrent of pain. The rejection, the wheelchair, the model in her bed, the lamp thrown at her head. Amanda listened in silence, and Gladys could picture her friend sitting up in bed, her lawyer instincts already cataloging evidence, building a case. Where are you right now? Amanda's voice had shifted from concerned friend to steel-edged attorney. Seoul General Hospital. They're releasing me soon. I have nowhere to go, Amanda. He has the house, the money, everything. And my babies. Ivy and Jasper are still there with that woman, probably. Stop. Listen to me carefully. Amanda's voice cut through the panic. You're coming to my apartment. I'm sending a car right now. And Gladys, we're going to destroy him. Amanda's apartment in Itaewon was modest compared to Minjun's penthouse, but it felt like sanctuary. Warm hardwood floors, mismatched furniture that spoke of personality rather than price tags, and walls covered with legal certificates and photographs from their law school days. Gladys looked at one photo, herself and Amanda at their graduation from Seoul National University, both grinning in their robes. The world spread before them like a promise. She'd been so different then. Confident. Strong. Complete. Sit, Amanda commanded, maneuvering Gladys's wheelchair to the kitchen table. She poured 2 glasses of soju, sliding one across. Drink. I'm still nursing. 1 shot won't hurt. And you need it. Amanda raised her glass. To bastards who don't deserve the women they married. They drank. The soju burned, but it was a good burn, warming Gladys from the inside out. Amanda pulled out a legal pad, her pen already moving. Tell me everything. From the beginning. When did he start treating you like this? Gladys recounted it all. The difficult pregnancy, the premature birth, the emergency C-section that had saved the twins but left her unable to walk. How Minjun had visited her in the hospital exactly twice in 3 weeks. How he'd hired a nanny before she even came home. How the master bedroom had been forbidden territory from day one. He said I was too fat, too stinky, that the babies cried too much, Gladys whispered, shame coloring her voice. Amanda's pen stopped moving. She looked up, her dark eyes blazing. That man is human garbage. You know that, right? You nearly died bringing his children into this world. You sacrificed your career, your body, your health for what? So he could screw some stick figure model in the bed you should be sleeping in. I love him, Gladys said weakly. No. Amanda slammed her hand on the table. You loved who you thought he was. The real Minjun. The one who throws lamps at the mother of his children. You don't love him. You love a fantasy. The words stung because they were true. Gladys had fallen in love with Minjun's charm, his seeming fascination with her Nigerian heritage, his promises that their mixed children would bridge 2 cultures. She believed him when he said her curves were beautiful, that she was exotic and perfect. Until she wasn't. Until she became imperfect, damaged goods. What do I do? Gladys asked, her voice small. Amanda smiled, and it wasn't kind, it was predatory. We fight. You were one of the best lawyers in this city before you gave it all up. Remember that woman? The one who won the Kim corruption case? The one who made senior partners tremble? She's still in there, Gladys. We just need to wake her up. I can't even walk. So what? You think your brain stopped working because your legs are on vacation? The wheelchair is temporary. Your mind is permanent. And we're going to use it to make sure Minjun regrets the day he betrayed you. Amanda flipped to a fresh page on her legal pad. Here's what we're going to do. First, we file for divorce on grounds of adultery and emotional abuse. Korea might not have the strongest infidelity laws, but we have evidence, your testimony, the hospital visit, Mrs. Park as a witness. Second, we sue for full custody of Ivy and Jasper. A man who commits adultery in the same house as his infant children while verbally abusing their mother? No judge will give him primary custody. He's rich, Amanda. He can afford the best lawyers in Seoul. And you have me. For free. Plus, we'll make this public. Minjun's company depends on his image, the family man, the respectable businessman. Let's see how his stock prices hold up when the news breaks that he cheated on his postpartum wife. Gladys felt something stirring in her chest. Not hope, not yet, but something close. Anger. Righteous, burning anger. There's more, Amanda continued, her pen flying across the page. You gave up your career when you married him. That's lost wages, lost opportunities, lost professional development. We calculate what you would have earned as a senior lawyer over the past 3 years and include it in the settlement. We also go after marital assets, that penthouse, half yours. His stock portfolio, half yours. The vacation home in Busan, half yours. He'll never agree to that. He doesn't have to agree. That's what courts are for. Amanda leaned back, studying her friend. But here's the thing, Gladys. This is going to get ugly. Min-jun won't go down without a fight. He'll say terrible things about you. His lawyers will try to paint you as an unfit mother because you're in a wheelchair. They'll bring up every argument you ever had, every moment of postpartum depression. They'll make you relive the worst period of your life in excruciating detail. Gladys swallowed hard. Can I handle that? That's the question only you can answer. Because if we do this, we do it all the way. No backing down, no reconciliation, no second chances for a man who threw a lamp at your head. The apartment fell silent except for the hum of the refrigerator. Gladys thought about Ivy and Jasper sleeping in their cribs while their father entertained his mistress. Thought about the law career she'd abandoned. Thought about the woman in the graduation photo, so full of promise. I want my babies, she said finally, and I want him to pay for what he's done. Amanda grinned. There she is. There's the Gladys I remember. The next morning, Gladys woke to find her phone flooded with messages. Dozens of them, from numbers she didn't recognize. She opened the first one, and her blood ran cold. It was a photo of Min-jun and Seo-yeon, taken at some exclusive restaurant, his arm around her waist. The headline read, Tech billionaire Min-jun Park steps out with top model Seo-yeon Kim, new romancer scandal. Amanda appeared in the doorway, holding her tablet. It gets worse. Check Naver. Gladys scrolled through the news portal. The story was everywhere. Celebrity gossip sites, business news, even international outlets. But it wasn't just about the affair. Someone had leaked information about Min-jun's marriage to Gladys, about her being Nigerian, about the twins. The comments section was a cesspool of racism and misogyny. Of course he upgraded. Korean women are superior. Why would he marry a black woman in the first place? This is what happens. She probably baby-trapped him. Good for him for finding real love. But there were other comments too. He has infant twins at home, and he's out with another woman? Disgusting. His poor wife just gave birth. This is horrible. Min-jun Park is trash. I'm selling my stock in his company. He did this on purpose. Gladys breathed. He's making it public to humiliate me. Maybe, Amanda said. Or maybe Seo-yeon did it for publicity. Either way, we can use this. She sat down next to Gladys. The court of public opinion matters, especially for someone like Min-jun. Right now, the narrative is split. We need to shift it entirely in your favor. How? By telling your story. The real story, not his sanitized version. Amanda pulled up a contact on her phone. I know a journalist at the Korea Times. She specializes in women's rights issues. She'd kill for an exclusive interview with you. Gladys hesitated. The thought of exposing her pain to strangers, of becoming a public spectacle, made her stomach turn. But then she thought of those comments, the ones calling her a gold digger, a baby trapper inferior. Set it up, she said. I want to tell my side. Amanda made the call while Gladys sat in her wheelchair, staring at the photos of Min-jun and his perfect Korean girlfriend. They looked happy, radiant, like a couple from a drama. Her phone buzzed with a new message, this time from an unknown number, but she recognized the tone immediately. You have 48 hours to leave Seoul, or I'll make sure you never see Ivy and Jasper again. You're an unfit mother, a cripple who can't even take care of herself, let alone children. Go back to Nigeria where you belong. Her hands shook as she showed Amanda the message. Screenshot it. Save it. That's evidence of harassment and intimidation. Amanda's jaw clenched. He just made our case stronger. What an idiot. He has power, Amanda. Money. Connections. What if nothing? You know what you have that he doesn't. The truth. And in the end, that's the most powerful weapon of all. Gladys wanted to believe her, wanted to trust that justice would prevail, that good would triumph over evil like in the stories she'd loved as a child. But this wasn't a story. This was her life. And the villain had all the power. Or did he? The journalist from Korea Times, a sharp-eyed woman named Ji-won Park, arrived at Amanda's apartment 2 days later with a photographer and a voice recorder. She had the professional demeanor of someone who'd covered everything from presidential scandals to celebrity divorces, but her eyes softened when she saw Gladys in the wheelchair, dark circles evident beneath her eyes. "Thank you for agreeing to speak with me," Ji-won said, settling into the chair across from Gladys. "I know this must be incredibly difficult." Gladys had rehearsed what she'd say, but now that the moment had arrived, her throat felt tight. Amanda squeezed her shoulder encouragingly. "Tell her everything," Amanda whispered. "Don't protect him." So Gladys did. She talked about meeting Min-jun at a legal conference 5 years ago, how he'd pursued her relentlessly, fascinated by her intelligence and her Nigerian heritage, how he'd proposed after 6 months with a diamond ring and promises of a partnership that transcended cultural boundaries. "He said he loved that I was different," Gladys explained, her voice steady despite the pain. "That my curves were beautiful, that my skin was like chocolate silk. He made me feel exotic and special." "When did that change?" Ji-won asked gently. "The moment I became pregnant." Gladys twisted her wedding ring. She still wore it, though she didn't know why. "Suddenly my curves weren't beautiful, they were excessive. The pregnancy was difficult. I was on bed rest for months. He started working later, coming home less. When I went into premature labor at 28 weeks, he was at a business dinner. He didn't come to the hospital until the next day." The photographer's camera clicked softly, capturing Gladys's raw emotion. "The C-section saved my baby's lives, but there were complications. Nerve damage. The doctor said with physical therapy, I'd walk again in 6 to 12 months. But Min-jun couldn't wait. He moved me to the nursery the day I came home from the hospital. Said I was too fat, too stinky, that the babies cried too much for him to sleep." Ji-won's pen scratched across her notepad. "And the affair?" Gladys took a breath. 3 nights ago, I tried to salvage my marriage. I put on lingerie, rolled my wheelchair to our bedroom, the bedroom I haven't been allowed to sleep in for 6 months. He told me I looked ugly, that I was no longer sexually appealing to him. He kicked me out. 3 days later, I heard noises. I went to investigate and found him in bed with model Seo-yeon Kim. What did he do when you discovered them? He threw a lamp at my head, called me a cleaner, told me it was his house, and I had no right to be there. Gladys met Ji-won's eyes. Then he locked the door and continued with her while I sat outside in my wheelchair listening. The room fell silent except for the scratch of pen on paper. Even the photographer had stopped shooting, her face pale with shock. I have medical records from the hospital visit that night, Amanda interjected, handing over a folder. Dehydration, elevated blood pressure, evidence of emotional trauma. We also have a witness, the family's housekeeper, who found Gladys collapsed on the nursery floor. Ji-won reviewed the documents, her expression hardening. And the twins, Ivy and Jasper, where are they now? Still with him, Gladys said, tears threatening. I haven't seen my babies in 3 days. He sent me a message saying if I didn't leave Seoul, I'd never see them again. That I'm an unfit mother because I'm in a wheelchair. May I see that message? Gladys showed her the phone. Ji-won photographed the screen, then leaned back in her chair. 44. Mrs. Park, I'm going to be frank with you. This story is going to explode. Min-jun Park is one of Korea's most prominent businessmen. The racism, the ableism, the affair while you're postpartum, it hits every hot-button issue. Are you prepared for the backlash? What kind of backlash? Some people will support you. Others will call you a gold digger, say you deserved it, that you should have stayed thin and pretty for your husband. The racism in Korea is real, you know this. Some will say Min-jun was right to upgrade to a Korean woman. Gladys felt Amanda's hand tighten on her shoulder. I know, she said quietly. I've already read the comments online. But I also know there are people out there, women who've been discarded after childbirth, people with disabilities who've been called unfit. Anyone who's ever been treated as less than human, they need to hear that it's not okay. That we can fight back. Ji-won smiled. Then let's make sure your voice is heard. The article dropped 3 days later with a headline, "Behind the Billionaire's Smile, One Woman's Story of Postpartum Abuse and Betrayal." It went viral within hours. Gladys sat in Amanda's apartment, watching her phone explode with notifications. The article had been shared thousands of times across social media platforms. Hashtags emerged. Hashtag Stand with Gladys. Hashtag postpartum abuse. Hashtag disability rights. But Minjun's response was swift and brutal. His lawyer, an infamous attorney named Kang Jin-ho, released a statement that same afternoon. Mr. Park deeply regrets the breakdown of his marriage, but he cannot allow false accusations to damage his reputation. Ms. Okafor has struggled with postpartum depression and has made concerning statements about her ability to care for the twins. Mr. Park's primary concern is the welfare of his children. He will be seeking full custody and as evidence of Ms. Okafor's instability. Instability! Gladys read the statement on her tablet, her hand shaking. "He's making me sound crazy." "It's a common tactic," Amanda said grimly. "Discredit the victim, paint her as emotionally unstable." "But we knew this was coming." She pulled up her laptop. "Look at the responses. People aren't buying it." She was right. Social media had erupted in Gladys's defense. Postpartum depression is a medical condition, not a character flaw. This is victim blaming at its worst. So a man can cheat and throw things at his wife, but she's the unstable one? Korea needs to do better. I'm Korean, and I'm disgusted by Minjun Park. This isn't about race or culture, it's about basic human decency. Even celebrities were weighing in. A popular Korean actress posted, "I had postpartum depression after my second child. If my husband had treated me like this, I would have fallen apart too. We need to support mothers, not abandon them." But the hate was there too, vicious and unrelenting. "She's just after his money. African women always trap rich Asian men. Minjun deserves a wife who takes care of herself. She let herself go. Why is she still in Korea? Go back to your country." Gladys forced herself to stop reading. Each hateful comment was a knife wound, but she couldn't let them break her. Not now. Not when the real battle was just beginning. Amanda's phone rang. She answered, listened for a moment, then her face broke into a fierce grin. "That was my contact at the courthouse. Minjun filed for divorce this morning. He's asking for full custody, claiming you're an unfit mother due to disability and mental instability." "That's good news," Gladys asked weakly. "It's great news. It means we're getting to him. He's reacting instead of strategizing." Amanda pulled out her legal files. "We file our countersuit tomorrow. Divorce on grounds of adultery and abuse. Full custody to you. Alimony and child support. Division of marital assets. And we're adding a restraining order to keep Seo-yeon away from the children. Can we win?" Amanda met her eyes. Korean family law is complicated. Traditionally, it favors fathers, especially wealthy ones. But times are changing. Public opinion matters. We have evidence of his affair, his abuse, his threats. We have your medical records. We have witnesses. Most importantly, we have you. A woman who gave up her career and nearly died bringing his children into the world. And the wheelchair is irrelevant. You're receiving physical therapy. You're cognitively sound. You're bonded with the twins. Any judge who denies you custody based on temporary mobility issues is violating disability discrimination laws and will appeal all the way to the Supreme Court if necessary. A knock at the door interrupted them. Amanda checked the peephole, then opened it to reveal Mrs. Park, the housekeeper, holding a large bag. "I bring things for you," Mrs. Park said in halting English, her eyes red from crying. She pulled out clothes, toiletries, and Gladys's breath caught. Photo albums from the penthouse. "Also bring this." She handed Gladys a USB drive. "Security camera. Show everything. Mr. Park doesn't know I have." Amanda took the drive like it was made of gold. "Mrs. Park, this is evidence. Are you willing to testify?" The older woman nodded firmly. "He's bad man. Throw lamp. Yell at beautiful wife. Bring other woman to house with babies there. I testify. I tell truth." Tears streamed down Gladys's face as she hugged Mrs. Park. "Thank you. Thank you so much." After Mrs. Park left, Amanda immediately plugged in the USB drive. The security footage was damning. Min Jun and Seo Yun entering the penthouse together multiple times over the past month. Arguments between Min Jun and Gladys, where he was clearly the aggressor. The night of the lamp incident, captured in grainy black and white, showing Min Jun's rage and Gladys's terror. "This is it," Amanda breathed. "This is everything we need." But Gladys was staring at another clip, one from 2 months ago. Her, struggling to transfer from the wheelchair to a chair to hold Ivy and Jasper for their feeding. Min Jun walking past without helping, without even looking. The twins crying. Gladys crying. The loneliness, so profound it radiated through the screen. "He never loved them," Gladys whispered. "The twins. He sees them as burdens. As things that ruined me, that made me imperfect. Then he doesn't deserve them." Amanda saved the footage to multiple drives. "We present this in court, and every parent in Korea will see themselves in you. The exhaustion, the struggle, the dedication. And they'll see him for what he is, a coward who abandoned his family when they needed him most." Gladys's phone buzzed. Another message, this time from a blocked number. "Drop the custody suit or I'll make sure everyone knows about your past. The abortion you had in law school. The depression. Everything. I'll destroy you." She showed Amanda, who read it with a grim smile. "He's desperate. That's good. Desperate men make mistakes." She screenshot the message. "And he just made another one. Blackmail and intimidation. Our case gets stronger with every stupid thing he does." The Seoul family court building loomed before Gladys like a monument to judgment. She'd argued cases here before, back when she could walk through these halls with confidence, her briefcase in hand and her future bright. Now she rolled through the entrance in her wheelchair, Amanda beside her, photographers and reporters swarming like locusts. "Ms. Okafor, do you think you can win custody? Is it true you had an abortion in law school? Are you using your disability to gain sympathy?" Amanda shielded her, pushing through the crowd with the force of a bulldozer. "No comment. Save your questions for the courtroom." Inside, the familiar smell of old wood and legal documents triggered something in Gladys, muscle memory from her former life. She'd won a major corruption case in courtroom 3, had negotiated settlements in these hallways, had been someone here, someone who mattered. Min Jun arrived with his legal team, 3 lawyers in expensive suits flanking him like bodyguards. Kang Jin-ho led them, silver-haired, shark-eyed, notorious for destroying opponents. Min Jun himself looked impeccable in a charcoal suit, his face arranged in an expression of dignified concern. He didn't even glance at Gladys. But Seo Yun was there too, sitting in the gallery, her designer outfit drawing stares. The audacity of bringing his mistress to their custody hearing made Gladys's blood boil. Judge Han Soo-min entered, a woman in her 50s known for her no-nonsense approach to family law. She surveyed the packed courtroom with barely concealed distaste. "This is a custody hearing, not a media circus," she said sharply. "I want decorum, or I'll clear this room." The hearing began. Kang Jin-ho struck first, painting Min Jun as a devoted father concerned about his children's welfare. "Your Honor, Mr. Park has provided a stable, luxurious home for his children. He has hired qualified nannies and ensured the twins receive the best care. Meanwhile, Ms. Okafor is currently homeless, unemployed, and physically incapable of caring for 2 infants. She relies on charity from friends and cannot even walk without assistance." Amanda stood, her voice clear and strong. "Your Honor, Ms. Okafor is recovering from a traumatic childbirth that saved the lives of Mr. Park's children. Her temporary mobility issues do not reflect her parenting capacity. She has been the twins' primary caregiver since birth, bonding with them, nursing them, caring for them around the clock while Mr. Park was," she paused meaningfully, "otherwise occupied." "Objection," Kang said smoothly. "Inflammatory language." "Sustained," Judge Han said. "Ms. Okonkwo, stick to facts." Amanda nodded. "The facts are these. Mr. Park engaged in adultery with model Seo Yun Kim while his wife was postpartum. He verbally abused Ms. Okafor, calling her ugly and sexually unappealing. He physically assaulted her by throwing a lamp at her head. He threatened to take her children away if she didn't leave Seoul. And he did all of this while Ivy and Jasper, 5-month-old infants, were in the same home. The courtroom stirred. Judge Han's expression remained neutral, but Gladys saw her eyes flicker to Min-jun with something that might have been discussed. Do you have evidence of these claims? We do, Your Honor. Amanda presented the USB drive. Security footage from the family home, medical records from Seoul General Hospital documenting Ms. Okafor's injuries and emotional trauma, text messages from Mr. Park threatening and harassing her, and witness testimony from the family's housekeeper. Kang Jin-ho stood abruptly. Your Honor, that security footage was obtained illegally. The housekeeper had no authority to remove property from Mr. Park's home. The housekeeper witnessed abuse and preserved evidence, Amanda countered. Under Korean law, witnesses to domestic violence have a duty to report. Mrs. Park fulfilled that duty. Judge Han took the drive. I'll review this in chambers. We'll reconvene after lunch. During the break, Gladys sat in a conference room with Amanda, too nervous to eat. Her phone buzzed constantly, messages of support from strangers, hate mail from Min-jun's supporters, and one text that made her heart stop. Mommy's babies miss her. Ivy won't stop crying. Jasper has a fever. The nanny doesn't know what to do. But Mr. Park says you can't come home. It was from Mrs. Park's personal number. My babies need me, Gladys whispered, showing Amanda. Jasper's sick, and I'm here fighting in court while... Hey! Amanda grabbed her hands. This is exactly why we're fighting. So you can be there for them. So they don't grow up thinking it's normal for fathers to treat mothers like garbage. Stay strong. We're winning this. When court reconvened, Judge Han's expression had changed. She'd watched the footage. Mr. Kang, I've reviewed the security videos. They show a pattern of emotional abuse, neglect, and on one occasion, physical violence. They also show Mr. Park bringing his paramour into the family home on multiple occasions while his infant children were present. Do you have any response to this? Kang Jin-ho didn't miss a beat. Your Honor, the footage lacks context. Mr. Park admits the marriage was troubled, but he never intended to harm Ms. Okafor. The lamp was thrown in a moment of frustration, not aimed at her. As for Ms. Kim's presence, Mr. Park has every right to have guests in his own home. Guests? Amanda stood, incredulous. He was having sexual relations with another woman in his marital bed while his postpartum wife was down the hall with their crying infants. That's not a guest, Your Honor. That's a deliberate act of cruelty. Judge Han raised her hand for silence. Mr. Park, you'll have your chance to testify. I want to hear directly from you why you believe you should have custody of these children. Min-jun took the stand, his demeanor perfect, humble, concerned, reasonable. Gladys wanted to scream. Your Honor, I love my children deeply, he began, his Korean smooth and educated. The end of my marriage is painful, but my concern is for Ivy and Jasper's welfare. Ms. Okafor is a wonderful woman, but since the birth, she struggled. Depression, anger, inability to accept her physical limitations. I've tried to support her, but she's refused help. That's a lie. Gladys burst out before Amanda could stop her. Judge Han's gaze swung to her. Ms. Okafor, you'll have your turn. Mr. Park, continue. I hired the best nannies, the best doctors. I gave her space to recover in the nursery, so she wouldn't have to climb stairs. But she became fixated on the idea that I'd abandoned her. The night she refers to, yes, I was with Seo-yeon. My marriage was already over. I'd asked Gladys for a divorce weeks before, but she refused to accept it. Another lie. Gladys's hands clenched the wheelchair armrests, so hard her knuckles went white. As for the lamp, it was an accident. I was startled when she burst in. I never meant for her to be hurt. I've apologized repeatedly. Kang Jin-ho stood. Your Honor, we'd like to submit evidence of Ms. Okafor's mental instability. She had an abortion during law school after an unplanned pregnancy. She's been treated for depression. Her current living situation is unstable. She's staying with a friend, has no income, no means to support herself or the children. Mr. Park, meanwhile, can provide everything they need. Amanda was already on her feet. Your Honor, Ms. Okafor's medical history is protected by privacy laws. Her past choices have no bearing on her current fitness as a mother. And her financial situation is a direct result of sacrificing her legal career at Mr. Park's request. She was a successful attorney who gave up everything to support his ambitions and bear his children. That was her choice. Kong interjected. A choice made in a marriage, which is a partnership, Amanda shot back. When that partnership ends, she's entitled to her share of marital assets. The only reason she's unstable financially is because Mr. Park has frozen her access to their joint accounts and locked her out of the marital home. Judge Han held up her hand. Enough. Ms. Okafor, I'd like to hear from you directly. Please approach the witness stand. This was the moment Gladys had dreaded. Willing herself to the stand, swearing to tell the truth, facing the courtroom full of strangers and cameras and Min Jun's cold stare. Amanda guided her through the testimony, gently. Gladys described her pregnancy, the complications, the emergency C-section. The joy of holding Ivy and Jasper for the first time, despite the pain. The crushing isolation of being exiled to the nursery, treated like a burden rather than a wife. Did you love your husband? Amanda asked. Yes, Gladys said quietly. I loved him deeply. I thought he loved me too. When did you realize he didn't? When he looked at me after the birth and I saw disgust in his eyes. Not concern, not compassion, disgust. Because my body had changed. Because I wasn't perfect anymore. And the night you discovered his affair, Gladys took a breath. This was the hard part. I went to our bedroom wearing lingerie, hoping to save my marriage. I thought if I could just show him I was still desirable, still trying, he might remember why he loved me. Instead, he called me ugly, said I was no longer sexually appealing, told me to get out. 3 days later, I found him with her. What did you feel in that moment? Like I was dying. The words came out broken. Like everything I'd sacrificed, my career, my body, my health, had been for nothing. That I'd given him 2 beautiful babies and almost died doing it, and his response was to replace me with someone prettier. The courtroom was silent. Even the reporters had stopped taking notes, caught in the raw emotion of the moment. Then Kang Jin-ho stood for cross-examination, and the mercy ended. Ms. Okafor, isn't it true you've struggled with depression since law school? I was treated for depression once, yes. After a traumatic relationship. And you had an abortion? Amanda objected immediately. Relevance, Your Honor. I'm establishing a pattern of instability and poor decision-making, Kang said smoothly. Having an abortion is neither unstable nor poor decision-making, Judge Han said sharply. Move on, Mr. Kang. But the damage was done. Gladys could see it in some faces in the gallery, judgment, condemnation. Kang shifted tactics. Ms. Okafor, you claim Mr. Park abused you. Yet you continued living in his home, accepting his financial support. If he was so terrible, why didn't you leave? Where would I go? Gladys asked. I can't walk. I have no money. He controls everything. You have a law degree from Seoul National University. You could have called any number of colleagues for help. I was ashamed, Gladys admitted, her voice cracking. Ashamed that I'd failed, that my marriage had fallen apart, that I couldn't even stand on my own 2 feet. I wanted to believe it would get better. Or perhaps you wanted to maintain access to Mr. Park's wealth? Objection! Amanda's voice cracked like a whip. Withdrawn. Kang smiled coldly. No further questions. Judge Han took 2 weeks to render her decision. 2 weeks during which Gladys lived in a suspended state of terror and hope, watching the media circus surrounding her case reach fever pitch. Petitions circulated online, one demanding Min Jun lose custody, another insisting Gladys return to Nigeria. She stopped reading the comments. Amanda kept her busy with physical therapy. Every day, Gladys pushed herself harder, determined to walk into that courtroom on her own 2 feet when the verdict came down. Her therapist, a kind woman named Dr. Lee, worked with her for hours, strengthening exercises, balance training, walking between parallel bars. You're making remarkable progress, Dr. Lee said during one session. The nerve damage is healing faster than expected. I think you'll be walking unassisted within 2 months. I need to walk now, Gladys panted, sweat dripping down her face as she took another painful step. I need the judge to see me standing. The judge will see your strength regardless, Dr. Lee said gently. Strength isn't just physical, Gladys. But Gladys pushed anyway, driven by a fury that had replaced her grief. She was done being a victim. Done being the broken woman Min Jun had discarded. The night before the verdict, Amanda found her doing research on her laptop, reviewing Korean custody law precedents, analyzing similar cases, her legal mind awakening from its long slumber. "You miss it," Amanda observed, sitting beside her with 2 cups of tea. "Miss what?" "The law. The fight. Being an attorney." Gladys closed the laptop. "I loved practicing law. I was good at it. When I gave it up for Min-jun, I told myself it was a choice, a sacrifice worth making for love and family. But he never asked me what I wanted. He just assumed I'd be happy being his wife, decorating his arm at events, bearing his children. What do you want now?" "I want my babies, and I want my life back." Gladys met Amanda's eyes. "After this is over, I'm taking the bar exam again. Reinstating my license. I'm going to practice law again, Amanda. Maybe I'll never be as successful as I was, but I need to be more than just Min-jun Park's ex-wife." Amanda smiled. "There she is. The woman I graduated with. The one who made senior partners nervous. That woman never really left. She just forgot who she was for a while." The courtroom was even more packed for the verdict. Gladys wore a navy suit Amanda had bought her, professional and dignified. She'd practiced transferring from the wheelchair smoothly, maintaining her composure. Whatever happened today, she would face it with grace. Min-jun arrived with his legal team, but without Seo-yeon this time. Smart move, Gladys thought. His lawyers had probably warned him about optics. Judge Han entered, her expression unreadable. The room fell silent as she arranged her papers. 77. No. No, please. However, Judge Han's voice hardened, the law does not reward financial status over parental fitness, and the evidence shows Mr. Park is profoundly unfit to be the primary custodian of these children. Gladys's heart stuttered. Mr. Park engaged in adultery in the marital home while his children were present. He verbally and emotionally abused their mother during her postpartum recovery period. He threw an object at her in a fit of rage. He threatened to permanently separate her from her children unless she complied with his demands. This behavior demonstrates a lack of empathy, judgment, and basic human decency. Min-jun's face had gone pale. His lawyer whispered urgently in his ear. Ms. Okafor, by contrast, has been the twins' primary caregiver since birth despite significant physical challenges. She has bonded with them, nursed them, and prioritized their needs above her own comfort. Her temporary mobility issues are the result of sacrifices made to bring these children into the world, not a reflection of her parenting capacity. Judge Han looked directly at Gladys. Therefore, I am awarding primary physical custody of Ivy and Jasper to Ms. Gladys Okafor. Mr. Park will have supervised visitation rights on weekends, pending completion of anger management counseling and parenting classes. The courtroom erupted. Reporters shouted questions. Supporters cheered. Amanda grabbed Gladys's hand so hard it hurt, but Gladys barely felt it. She was crying, great heaving sobs of relief and joy. Furthermore, Judge Han raised her voice over the din. I am ordering Mr. Park to pay monthly child support of 15 million won, plus all medical expenses for the children and Ms. Okafor's continued physical therapy. The marital assets will be divided equitably. Ms. Okafor is entitled to 40% of all assets acquired during the marriage, including the Gangnam penthouse, Mr. Park's stock portfolio, and the vacation home in Busan. Mr. Park will maintain 60%. Kang Jin-ho was on his feet. Your Honor, this is excessive. It is fair. Judge Han cut him off. Ms. Okafor sacrificed her legal career at Mr. Park's request, giving up an estimated 300 million won in potential earnings over 3 years. She nearly died bringing his children into the world. This settlement compensates her for those sacrifices while ensuring she can provide a stable home for Ivy and Jasper. She banged her gavel. This court is adjourned. Amanda had arranged for them to collect Ivy and Jasper that same afternoon. Mrs. Park had packed their things, clothes, toys, the special blankets they'd been wrapped in since birth. Min-jun wasn't home when they arrived, and Gladys was grateful. She didn't think she could face him without saying something that would jeopardize the custody arrangement. But when she saw her babies, God, had it really been 3 weeks? Every other thought vanished. Ivy and Jasper had grown, their faces fuller, their eyes more alert. The nanny held them uncertainly until Gladys wheeled forward. Give me my children, she said. The nanny handed over Ivy first, and Gladys cradled her daughter, breathing in that perfect baby smell, feeling tiny fingers grip her own. Then Jasper, heavier than she remembered, his serious eyes studying her face as if to say, "Where have you been?" "I'm sorry," Gladys whispered to them both. "Mommy's so sorry. But I'm here now. I'm here and I'm never letting you go again." Mrs. Park was crying openly. "You are good mother. Best mother. I am happy for you. Come with us," Gladys said impulsively. "I'll need help with the twins. I can't pay much right now, but—" "I come," Mrs. Park said immediately. "For babies. For you. Mr. Park is bad man. I work for good family now." Amanda's apartment became a cramped but joyful chaos. 2 cribs in the living room, baby supplies everywhere, nighttime feedings that left everyone exhausted. But Gladys had never been happier. She held her babies, sang to them, watched them discover their hands and feet and voices. And she walked, every day a little farther. First just across the room, then down the hallway, then outside to the small park near Amanda's building, where she pushed the twins in their stroller on unsteady legs, Amanda hovering nearby, ready to catch her if she fell. "You're doing it!" Amanda breathed as Gladys made it all the way around the park. "Gladys, you're walking." "I know." Gladys stopped, out of breath but grinning. "I can feel it. My body's coming back. Everything's coming back." The settlement money came through, enough to rent her own apartment, a modest but sunny 2-bedroom in Itaewon where she could raise her children. She bought new furniture, decorated the nursery in soft yellows and greens, hung photos from happier times, though none included Minjun. The media attention eventually faded, replaced by newer scandals. Minjun's company stock had taken a hit, but he remained wealthy and powerful. Seoyeon had moved on to another rich boyfriend, her Instagram full of designer bags and exotic vacations. Gladys didn't care. She had what mattered. 6 months after the verdict, she passed the bar exam on her first attempt. Amanda threw her a party, inviting their old law school friends, many of whom apologized for losing touch. "I want to specialize in family law," Gladys told them, "especially cases involving immigrant women and mothers with disabilities. I want to fight for people like me." "The world needs more lawyers like you," one friend said, raising a glass. To Gladys, the comeback story of the century. But Gladys knew it wasn't a comeback. It was a rebirth. The woman she'd been before, the one who defined herself through Minjun's love, was gone. In her place stood someone stronger, scarred but unbroken, ready to build a life on her own terms. And one day, maybe, she'd be ready to love again. But for now, she had her babies, her career, and herself. That was enough. 18 months after the divorce was finalized, Gladys stood in front of the mirror at Gold's gym in Gangnam, hardly recognizing herself. The wheelchair sat folded in her car. She kept it for bad days, when the nerve damage flared up, but those days were increasingly rare. She walked now, ran even. Her body had transformed through dedication and sweat, not back to what it was before the twins, but into something different. Stronger. The stretch marks were still there, silvery lines across her stomach and thighs. The C-section scar remained, a badge she'd learned to wear with pride. But the weight had melted away through careful diet and relentless exercise. Her curves were still pronounced, she was still unmistakably herself, still proudly African, but now they were sculpted with muscle. "Ms. Okafor," her trainer, an energetic woman named Sun-hee, waved her over. "Ready for leg day?" Gladys groaned good-naturedly. "You're trying to kill me." "I'm trying to make you stronger than you ever imagined," Sun-hee corrected. "And it's working. You've come so far." It was true. 2 years ago, she couldn't walk. Now she could deadlift her body weight. Life had a strange sense of irony. She was midway through her squats, focused on her form, when she felt someone watching her. She glanced up at the mirror and caught a man's gaze, tall, handsome, distinctly Korean, but with features that suggested mixed heritage. When their eyes met, he didn't look away or pretend he hadn't been staring. Instead, he smiled. Gladys finished her set, grabbed her water bottle, and tried to ignore the flutter in her stomach. She wasn't ready for this. Wasn't sure she'd ever be ready for male attention again. The scars Minjun had left weren't all physical. But the man approached anyway, his gait confident but not aggressive. Up close, he was even more striking. Sharp jawline, warm brown eyes, athletic build that suggested he actually used the gym rather than just posing in it. "I hope this doesn't sound forward," he said in Korean, then switched to perfect English. "But your form is exceptional. You've clearly worked hard to build that strength." Gladys blinked, caught off guard. Not a pickup line about her body or her looks, but genuine acknowledgement of her effort. "Thank you," she managed. "It's been a journey. I'm Taeyong," he extended his hand. "But most people call me Tae. And before you ask, yes, my mother named me Sun because she thought I'd bring light into the world." Very optimistic of her. Despite herself, Gladys laughed. "Gladys. And my mother named me after a gladiolus flower because she thought I'd be strong and resilient. Turns out she was right." "Gladys," he repeated, testing the name. "It suits you. You have a gladiator spirit. I can see it in how you train. You're not here for vanity. You're here for victory." "Victory over what?" "Whatever tried to break you." His eyes were kind, understanding. "We all have our battles. The gym is where we prove we're stronger than our scars." Something in his words resonated deep within her. This wasn't just gym talk. He spoke from experience. "What's your battle?" she asked. That's a heavy question for a first conversation. But he didn't deflect or change the subject. "My father is Korean, my mother is Cameroonian. Growing up mixed in Korea wasn't easy. I spent my childhood proving I belonged here, that I was Korean enough, African enough, human enough. The gym became my sanctuary, the one place where it didn't matter what I looked like, only what I could do." "I understand that," Gladys said quietly. "More than you know." Tay studied her face, and she could see the moment recognition dawned. "You're her. The lawyer who took down Minjun Park. I followed your case. What you did, standing up to him, fighting for your children despite everything, that took real courage." Gladys tensed, waiting for the inevitable questions, the judgment, the pity. But none came. "I'm not going to ask you about it," Tay said, as if reading her mind. "Everyone knows the public story. The private one is yours to share or not share as you choose. I just wanted you to know, a lot of us were proud of you. You represented every person who's been dismissed because they didn't fit someone's narrow definition of perfect." The sincerity in his voice made her throat tight. "Thank you," she whispered. "Can I buy you a protein shake?" He gestured toward the gym's juice bar. "As fellow warriors recovering from battle, I think we've earned it." Gladys hesitated. Every instinct screamed at her to say no, to protect herself, to not risk her heart again. But another voice, quieter, newer, reminded her that hiding wasn't living. "Just a protein shake," she said. "Nothing more." "Just a protein shake," Tay agreed, his smile warm. "I'm not trying to put a tag on anything. Let's just see where it goes naturally." Over mango banana smoothies, they talked. Tay was a physical therapist who specialized in helping accident victims and athletes recover from injuries. He'd opened his own practice in Itaewon 3 years ago, building a reputation for working with patients others had given up on. "I was told I'd never walk properly again after a car accident when I was 19, he explained. "Shattered my left leg in 4 places. The doctors were pessimistic. But I had a physical therapist who refused to accept that prognosis. She worked with me for 2 years, pushing me when I wanted to quit, believing in me when I didn't believe in myself. I became a PT to pay that forward." "I had someone like that," Gladys said. "Dr. Lee. After my C-section, the nerve damage was severe. She told me I'd walk again, and I thought she was just being kind. But she was right. Dr. Lee at Seoul General? Silver hair, tough as nails. You know her. She's legendary in PT circles. If she believed in you, then you must have had real determination." Tay leaned forward. "What drives you now? Beyond your children, beyond proving your ex-husband wrong, what gets you out of bed in the morning?" No one had asked her that in years. Not even Amanda. "I want to help other women," Gladys said slowly. "Women who've been cast aside, told they're worthless because their bodies changed or because they're not enough. I'm building a family law practice that specializes in protecting immigrant mothers and women with disabilities. I want to be the lawyer I needed when Minjun was trying to take my babies." "That's beautiful," Tay said softly. "And powerful. You're transforming your pain into purpose. What about you? What drives you?" "Honestly, I want to change how Korea views bodies. We have such rigid beauty standards, especially for women, but men too. Everyone has to fit this narrow mold, or they're deemed unacceptable. I work with patients who've been told they're broken, defective, damaged goods. I help them see their bodies as strong and capable, regardless of scars or differences. He paused. I know that sounds idealistic. It sounds necessary, Gladys said. God knows I needed to hear that message 2 years ago. You're hearing it now. And Gladys, Tay's gaze held hers, you have an amazing body. Not in spite of your curves or your scars, but because of who you are. You're a true African woman with beautiful skin and curves that tell a story of creation and survival. That's not something to hide or apologize for. That's something to celebrate. Tears pricked Gladys's eyes. Minjun had made her feel grotesque, undesirable, less than human. But Tay looked at her like she was art. I'm scared, she admitted, of trusting again, of being vulnerable, of believing someone could actually want me after everything. Then don't trust me yet, Tay said simply. Trust takes time. Let's start with friendship. No pressure, no expectations. We'll work out together, have conversations, see if we enjoy each other's company. If it becomes something more, great. If not, you'll have gained a friend who thinks you're incredible. Either way, you win. It was the perfect thing to say, giving her control, removing pressure, respecting her boundaries. Gladys found herself nodding. Okay, friends who work out together. And maybe get smoothies after, Tay added with a grin. Maybe. Over the following weeks, the gym became Gladys's favorite part of her day. Not just because of Tay, though she'd be lying if she said his presence didn't matter, but because she found a community there. Other mothers rebuilding their strength, immigrants forging identities, people with disabilities refusing to be limited by others' perceptions. Tay kept his word about taking things slowly. They worked out together, spotted each other during waits, shared post-workout meals at the healthy cafe down the street. He never pushed for more, never made her uncomfortable. When she mentioned her twins, he asked about them with genuine interest, even showing her pictures of his godchildren from his sister. Ivy looks just like you, he observed, studying the photo on Gladys's phone. Same strong jawline, same determined expression. Jasper has your eyes, too. They're beautiful, Gladys said. The best thing that ever happened to me, even if the circumstances were, she trailed off, complicated. Tay supplied gently. Good things can come from bad situations. It doesn't make the bad less bad, but it also doesn't diminish the good. One evening, after a particularly brutal workout, they sat in the gym sauna, the heat drawing out the day's stress. Gladys had worn a modest one-piece swimsuit, but she still felt exposed, hyper-aware of her scars and stretch marks. Can I tell you something? Tay asked. Sure. My mother has stretch marks from carrying me and my 2 sisters. Growing up, I watched Korean society treat her like she was less beautiful because of them. People would comment on her weight, her accent, her skin tone. But my father never wavered. He told her every day that she was the most beautiful woman in the world, that her body had created life, that her scars were proof of her strength. He looked at Gladys directly. That's how a real man sees a woman who's given life. Not with disgust, but with reverence. Your ex-husband was a fool who didn't deserve you. Your father sounds like a good man. He is. He taught me that beauty isn't about perfection, it's about authenticity. My mother is authentically herself, curves and accent and all. And you're the same. You don't hide who you are or where you've been. That's rare, Gladys. And it's beautiful. 3 months into their friendship, Tay invited Gladys to his family's home in Bundang for Sunday dinner. She almost said no. Meeting parents felt significant, relationship adjacent, dangerous. But Tay had framed it casually. My mom's cooking Cameroonian food, and she always makes too much. Plus, she wants to meet the woman I won't shut up about. You talk about me? Gladys had asked, caught between flattered and terrified. Constantly. It's annoying everyone. Please come so I can talk to you instead of about you. So Gladys found herself standing outside a modest but well-kept home, Ivy and Jasper in their stroller, her heart hammering. Amanda had insisted on helping her dress, choosing a vibrant Ankara print dress that celebrated rather than concealed her curves. You look stunning, Amanda had said. Now, go meet his family, and try not to fall completely in love with him. Or do. I'm not your mother. Tae answered the door in jeans and a casual shirt, his face lighting up when he saw her. You came. And you brought the twins. He crouched down to their level. Hello, Ivy. Hello, Jasper. I'm Tae. I'm a friend of your mom's. Jasper grabbed his finger immediately, and Ivy gave him a gummy smile. Children, Gladys had learned, were excellent judges of character. Come in, come in. A woman appeared behind Tae, petite, dark-skinned, beautiful, with natural hair styled in elegant twists. You must be Gladys. I'm Amara, Tae's mother. And this, she gestured to a tall Korean man with graying hair and kind eyes, is my husband Minho, not Minjun. Never Minjun. Gladys felt the distinction like a blessing. Thank you for having us, Gladys said, suddenly nervous. I hope it's okay that I brought the twins. My regular sitter was unavailable and… Are you kidding? Amara was already reaching for Ivy. May I? I haven't held a baby in years. Tae refuses to give me grandchildren. I'm 32, Mom. There's time. Your sister is already on baby number 2. You need to catch up. The easy banter, the warmth, the way Tae's father helped Gladys maneuver the stroller inside. It was so different from the cold formality of Minjun's family, who treated her like an embarrassing curiosity at best, a gold-digging interloper at worst. Dinner was a feast. Dol, jollof rice, plantains, and Korean side dishes that Minho had prepared. The combination shouldn't have worked, but somehow it did, just like this family shouldn't have worked in prejudiced Korean society, but they'd built something beautiful anyway. Tae tells us you're a lawyer, Minho said, serving Gladys more rice. Family law, specializing in helping immigrant women and mothers with disabilities. That's important work. It's personal work, Gladys admitted. After my divorce, I realized how many women slip through the cracks of the legal system. Women who don't speak Korean fluently, who don't understand their rights, who've been convinced they're worthless. I want to be their advocate. You were married to Minjun Park, Amara said bluntly. Not a question. I followed your case. What you did, standing up to that man, fighting for your babies, I told everyone I knew. You became a symbol. I didn't mean to become a symbol. I just wanted my children. That's what makes you powerful, Amara said. You weren't trying to be a hero. You were just trying to survive. But in doing so, you showed other women they could survive too. She paused, bouncing Ivy gently. Can I share something personal? Gladys nodded. When I first married Minho, his family disowned him. Marrying an African woman, a dark-skinned African woman, was unforgivable in their eyes. We struggled. People stared, made comments. When I was pregnant with Tae, strangers would touch my belly and ask if the baby would be too dark to be attractive. After he was born, Minho's mother came to the hospital once, looked at her grandson, and left without holding him. Minho reached over and squeezed his wife's hand, his jaw tight with old anger. I fell into deep depression, Amara continued. I thought I'd ruined Minho's life, that our children would suffer because of me. But Minho never wavered. He built a family with me, taught our children to be proud of both their heritages, refused to let society's prejudice define us. Now look at Tae, a successful physical therapist, helping people, making a difference. Our daughters are thriving too. We won, Gladys. Not easily, not painlessly, but we won. Why are you telling me this? Gladys asked, her voice thick. Because I see you trying to rebuild your life, and I see the fear in your eyes when you look at my son. Fear of being hurt again, of trusting again. I understand that fear. But Gladys, you can't let one bad man steal your ability to receive love from a good one. Tae had gone very still, his eyes on his plate. This wasn't a casual dinner. This was his family giving their blessing, telling Gladys she was welcome here, safe here. I'm not ready, Gladys whispered. There's so much I'm still healing from. Then heal, Amara said simply. Take your time, but don't close yourself off completely. Tae is patient. We raised him to understand that love isn't about possession or control, it's about partnership and respect. Whatever pace you need, he'll match it. After dinner, while Minho and Amara fawned over the twins, Tae walked Gladys out to her car. The evening air was cool, early autumn settling over Seoul. I'm sorry if that was intense, Tae said. My mom doesn't believe in subtle. She's wonderful, Gladys said honestly. Your whole family is. You're lucky. I know. He leaned against her car. Gladys, I need to be honest with you about something. Her stomach clenched. Here it comes. The ultimatum. The pressure. The demand. I'm falling for you, Tay said quietly. I've been falling for you since that first day at the gym. Not because you're beautiful, though you are, but because you're real. You've been through hell and came out stronger, not bitter. You're rebuilding a life, raising 2 kids, building a law practice, and somehow still finding time to deadlift twice a week. You're extraordinary. Tay! Wait, let me finish. He held up a hand. I'm telling you this not because I expect anything back, but because you deserve honesty. I know you're not ready for a relationship. I know your ex-husband destroyed your ability to trust. I'm not asking you to trust me immediately. I'm just asking you to consider the possibility that not all men are like Minjun. That some of us, he placed a hand over his heart, some of us see you, all of you, and think you're worth cherishing. Tears spilled down Gladys's cheeks. I'm scared. I know. What if I can never fully trust again? What if I'm too damaged? You're not damaged, Tay said firmly. You're healing. There's a difference. Damaged implies you're broken beyond repair. Healing means you're growing stronger every day. He reached out slowly, telegraphing the movement, and wiped a tear from her cheek. I'm not asking for forever right now. I'm asking for a chance. Let me take you on an actual date, dinner, just the 2 of us. Let me show you that dating can be safe and enjoyable, not transactional or terrifying. What if I'm terrible at it? What if I panic or have a breakdown or... Then we'll handle it, Tay interrupted gently. Together. No judgment, no pressure. We'll go at your pace, and if you need to stop, we stop. But Gladys, you can't live your whole life in fear of being hurt again. Sometimes you have to take a risk on something good. Gladys looked at this man, this kind, patient, genuine man, and felt the walls around her heart develop tiny cracks. Not breaking completely, not yet, but letting in slivers of light. One date, she said finally, somewhere public. And I might be awkward and anxious the entire time. I'll match your awkwardness. We can be weird together. Despite everything, Gladys laughed. Okay, one date. Tay's smile could have lit up the entire city. Saturday. There's a Nigerian restaurant in Itaewon I've been wanting to try. Real Nigerian food, not the Korean fusion version. You want to take me to a Nigerian restaurant? I want to take you somewhere that feels like home, where you can relax and be yourself, unless you prefer something else. The thoughtfulness of it, the way he considered what would make her comfortable rather than what would impress her, touched something deep inside. Nigerian food sounds perfect. That Saturday, Gladys stood in front of her closet for an hour, trying on 7 different outfits. Amanda, who'd agreed to babysit, watched from the bed with increasing amusement. It's just dinner, Amanda said. You're not negotiating a peace treaty. It's my first real date in 4 years. What if I've forgotten how to do this? You never really knew how to do it. You and Minjun barely dated before he pressured you into marriage. Amanda stood up, rifling through the closet. Here. This dress. The green one. It was a wrap dress that hugged her curves, professional yet feminine. The color brought out the richness of her skin. I look okay? Gladys asked, vulnerability making her voice small. You look like the powerful, beautiful woman you are. Now go. Tay's waiting downstairs, and if you make him wait any longer, he's going to think you changed your mind. Gladys kissed Ivy and Jasper, gave Amanda a final anxious look, and headed down to find Tay waiting by his car. Not a flashy sports car like Minjun had driven, but a modest sedan that spoke of practicality over status. He looked good in slacks and a button-down, casual but put together. When he saw her, his expression went soft with something that looked like wonder. Wow, he breathed. Gladys, you're stunning. I'm nervous, she admitted. Me too. He opened the car door for her. We'll be nervous together. After dinner, they walked through Itaewon, the neighborhood alive with its multicultural energy, African restaurants beside Korean cafes, mosques near churches, languages blending in the night air. This was the Seoul Gladys had fallen in love with, before Minjun had tried to make her fit into a narrow, exclusive version of the city. Can I ask you something? Gladys said as they walked, their hands nearly touching but not quite. Why me? You could date anyone, Korean women who'd be easier, who wouldn't come with all this baggage and trauma and… Stop. Tay turned to face her under a streetlight. First, you're not baggage. You're a person with a history, and your history has shaped you into someone remarkable. Second, I don't want easy. Easy is boring. Easy doesn't challenge me, or inspire me, or make me want to be better. What do you want? Honestly. He stepped closer, his voice dropping. I want someone real. Someone who's lived and struggled and survived. Someone who knows that love isn't a fairy tale, but chooses to try anyway. Someone exactly like you. Gladys's heart hammered. Tay, I need you to understand something. I'm not fully healed. I might never be fully healed. There will be days when I panic, when I push you away, when I'm convinced you'll hurt me like he did. Can you really handle that? Can I promise I'll never hurt you? No. I'm human. I'll make mistakes, say the wrong thing, disappoint you sometimes. But can I promise that I'll never deliberately harm you, never treat you as less than precious, never use your vulnerabilities as weapons? Yes. Absolutely yes. How do I trust that? You don't. Not yet. Tay reached out slowly, giving her time to step back if she wanted. When she didn't move, he took her hand, his touch warm and solid. Trust is built over time, through consistent actions. Let me show you who I am. Let me earn your trust one day at a time. And if I ever make you uncomfortable or scared, tell me. I'll listen. I'll adjust. Your healing matters more than my ego. Standing there in 81, her hand in his, Gladys felt the final wall around her heart begin to crumble. Not breaking violently, but melting slowly, like ice in spring sun. I want to try, she whispered. I'm terrified, but I want to try. Tay's smile was radiant. That's all I'm asking. We'll take it slow. No pressure, no expectations beyond mutual respect and honesty. Deal. Deal. He raised her hand to his lips, pressing a gentle kiss to her knuckles. The gesture was old-fashioned, romantic, and utterly disarming. Thank you for tonight, he said. For trusting me enough to be here, to be vulnerable, to take this risk. I won't take that trust lightly. 6 months later, Gladys stood in front of the mirror in her new office, a small but professional space in a building that housed several immigrant-focused nonprofits. Her law practice was growing steadily, word of mouth bringing her clients who needed someone who understood their struggles intimately. On her desk sat 2 photos, one of Ivy and Jasper, now 3 years old and thriving in preschool, and one taken just last week. Her and Tay at his sister's baby shower, laughing at something ridiculous, his arm around her waist, her head on his shoulder. 11. They'd been officially dating for 6 months, and it was nothing like her relationship with Min-Jun had been. There was no rush, no pressure to perform or be perfect. Tay had met Ivy and Jasper gradually, building relationships with them through playground visits and story time. He'd attended Gladys's physical therapy appointments, cheering her on. He'd held her during panic attacks triggered by unexpected encounters with Min-Jun during custody exchanges. And crucially, he'd introduced her to his entire extended family, aunts, uncles, cousins who welcomed her warmly, who saw her children as part of their family now. You ready? Amanda poked her head into the office. Your client's here, the woman from Morocco whose husband is threatening to take her kids back to his country. Gladys straightened her blazer, professional, confident, powerful. Send her in. As Amanda left, Gladys caught her reflection again. The woman staring back was scarred, yes. Changed, definitely. But stronger than she'd ever been before the fall. Her phone buzzed with a text from Tay. Thinking of you today. You're going to be amazing. Proud of you always. Followed by one from Amara. Dinner this Sunday? The twins haven't seen their Halmiani in 2 weeks. We're suffering from grandchild withdrawal. And finally, surprisingly, one from Mrs. Park. Mr. Min-Jun married Miss Seo-Yun. She already asking for divorce. Karma is real. Gladys read the last message twice, then deleted it without responding. Min-Jun's life was no longer her concern. His choices, his mistakes, his karma, none of it touched her anymore. She had her children, her career, a man who loved her without conditions, and a community that supported her. She had her body back, stronger than before. She had her voice, her power, her identity. She had won, not because Minjun had lost, but because she'd rebuilt herself into something unbreakable. The intercom buzzed. "Ms. Okafor, your client is ready." Gladys smiled, gathering her files. "Send her in. Let's fight for her." 2 years later, epilogue. The wedding was small, intimate, held in a garden in Bundang with only close friends and family. Gladys wore a dress that celebrated her curves, her scars hidden but not shameful beneath the fabric. Ivy served as flower girl, Jasper as ring bearer, both taking their jobs with adorable seriousness. Tay stood at the altar in traditional hanbok, tears already streaming down his face. When Gladys reached him, he whispered, "You're the most beautiful thing I've ever seen." "Even with all my stretch marks," she teased. "Especially with them. They're proof of your strength, your courage, everything I love about you." The officiant, a friend from law school, smiled at them both. "We're here today to celebrate not just the joining of two people, but the triumph of love over fear, healing over harm, hope over despair." Gladys and Taya both walked through fire to reach this moment, and now they choose to walk forward together. As they exchanged vows, promises of partnership, respect, and unconditional support, Gladys looked out at the faces surrounding them. Amanda crying openly, Amara and Minho beaming with pride. Her parents, who'd flown in from Nigeria, finally seeing their daughter happy. Mrs. Park, who'd become like family. Clients she'd helped, friends she'd made, a community she'd built. This was what victory looked like. Not defeating an enemy, but building something beautiful from ruins. When Tay kissed her, sealing their promises, Gladys felt complete. Not because a man had completed her, she'd always been whole, but because she'd finally found someone who recognized her wholeness and celebrated it. "Ladies and gentlemen," the officiant announced, "I present to you Mr. and Mrs. Kim, or, as they've requested, Tay and Gladys, equal partners in all things." The crowd erupted in applause. Ivy and Jasper ran to their mother, wrapping their arms around her legs. Tay scooped them both up, one on each hip, and Gladys leaned into her new husband, her children, her family. She'd been mocked, broken, discarded. But she'd risen from those ashes, not just survived, but thrived. And her story, she knew, would inspire others to do the same. The end.